Imagine that your whole life is a game, but the rules of this game have never been explained to you. In school, they teach you the multiplication table, but they don't tell you how the richest people in the world really achieve success. In universities, they teach you about economics, but they keep silent about the real laws of power and money. Today, I will reveal to you 3 shocking principles of success that Nietzsche and Rockefeller wrote about, but which are still hidden from most people. If you are ready to hear the truth that will turn your mind upside down, keep watching. You have probably heard that success is hard work, discipline, and persistence. But what if I told you that this is only half the truth? Philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "Everything great in the world has been accomplished in defiance of morality." And John D. Rockefeller, the first dollar billionaire in history, said, "Friendship based on business is better than business based on friendship." These people understood what is silent in schools and universities. Success is not just hard work. It is a game with special rules. And today we will analyze 3 of the most important of them. The first law: the world favors the strong, not the fair. Remember how in school teachers praised those who behaved quietly and followed all the rules. But in adult life, it is not the most obedient who win, but those who know how to take what they need. Nietzsche called this the will to power. He believed that each person actually strives not for happiness, but for power over their life. Look at Rockefeller. He did not become the richest man in the world because he was the kindest. He became it because he understood that business is war. When his competitors were drowning, he did not rush to save them. Instead, he bought their companies for next to nothing. Cruel? Perhaps. But this is how the real world works. The second law: money is attracted not to workaholics, but to those who manage systems. You can work 12 hours a day, but if you're just a cog in someone else's system, you won't get rich. Rockefeller didn't extract oil. He controlled the pipes it flowed through. Nietzsche said, "The madness of individuals is rare, but the madness of groups, parties, nations is a rule." Most people live like a herd, working for someone else. Successful people create systems that work for them. Imagine 2 people. One is a talented baker who gets up at 4 a.m. to bake the best croissants in town. The other is the owner of a chain of bakeries who doesn't even know how to bake. Which of them will become a millionaire? The answer is obvious. The third law: your beliefs create your reality. Nietzsche wrote, "You become what you are." Rockefeller believed from his youth that he would become rich, and this confidence led him through all the crises. Most people program themselves for failure without even realizing it. Money is evil. The rich are thieves. I am not worthy. These attitudes are instilled in us from childhood. But imagine 2 children. One's parents say, "Money comes from hard work." The other, "Money is energy that comes to those who create value." Who is more likely to get rich? Now, the most important thing. These laws are not an excuse for meanness. It's not about becoming a heartless manipulator. But if you don't understand the rules of the game, you are doomed to lose. The world is not fair, but it is predictable. The strong win. Systems are more important than individual efforts. Your thoughts create your reality. Accept these truths, and you will gain an advantage. Reject them, and you will continue to fight windmills. The choice is yours. Nietzsche said, "He who knows why to live can endure almost anyhow." Rockefeller would have added, "and make a fortune doing it." If this video has made you think, share it with someone who is also ready to hear the truth. And remember, knowledge is just the beginning. Real power is in action. You've already understood the main thing. Success is not a lottery or the result of blindly following the rules. But let's look at a few more laws that will turn your understanding of how this world works upside down. Let's take, for example, the story of one guy from an ordinary family. Let's call him Alex. He graduated from university, got a good job, and put aside 10% of his salary every month. After 20 years, he had an apartment and modest savings. Now imagine another character, Max. He dropped out of school in his second year, started trading at the market, then opened his own small store, failed, started again, failed again, and only on the third try did his business take off. By the age of 40, Max had a fortune that Alex could not have earned in 3 lives. What's the difference? Alex played by the rules that were imposed on him. Marx broke them and created his own. Nietzsche called this revaluation of values. Most people live in captivity of other people's beliefs. Study well, you'll get a good job. Work hard, you'll be promoted. Save money, there will be stability. But the world has changed a long time ago, and these attitudes remained. Rockefeller knew real money is made not by diligence, but by understanding the system. He did not just sell oil. He created a monopoly, controlling 90% of oil refining in America. When the government tried to stop him, he found loopholes in the laws. He did not break the rules. He understood them better than those who wrote them. Here's a simple example from modern times. Imagine that you want to open a cafe. An ordinary person rents a space, buys equipment, hires cooks, and waits for months for the business to pay off. But what does someone who understands the laws of success do? He looks for a cafe that is barely afloat, negotiates a partnership with the owner, invests a minimum of money in rebranding, and launches aggressive advertising. After 6 months, he either buys the business completely or sells his share to profit. The difference in approach is enormous. The first option is hard work with unclear prospects. The second is strategy. Now let's talk about fear. Nietzsche wrote, "What does not kill us makes us stronger." But modern culture convinces us that fear is bad, that we should avoid discomfort, stress, uncertainty. As a result, people sit in unloved jobs for years because they are afraid to quit. They do not start a business because they are afraid of failure. They do not invest because they are afraid of losing money. But look at Rockefeller. In 1557, when he was 18, the United States experienced an economic crisis. Banks were bursting. Companies were going bankrupt. People were losing everything. And what did Rockefeller do? He took all his savings and invested them in oil, because he realized that when everyone is afraid, it is time to act. You can say, "But I am not Rockefeller. I do not have such abilities." That is the trap. Nietzsche called it slave morality, the habit of thinking of yourself as weak and dependent. But the truth is, all the greats were once ordinary people. They just decided to play by their own rules. Take Elon Musk. In 2008, both Tesla and SpaceX failed. He was on the verge of bankruptcy. But he didn't give up because he believed in his mission. Now he is the richest man in the world. So what should you do? First, stop looking for approval. Nietzsche despised her morality, the desire to be like everyone else and receive praise. Second, learn to see opportunities where others see threats. Third, create systems. Don't just work. If you're a programmer, don't just write code. Create a product. If you're a marketer, don't just launch ads. Build a personal brand. And lastly, success is not a destination. It's a process. Rockefeller, having become the richest man in the world, fell into depression because the goal is not money. The goal is to become who you really are. As Nietzsche wrote, become who you are. So who are you? A cog in someone else's system? Or the architect of your life? The choice, as always, is yours. If you watched up to this point, you are no longer like most people. Most people close this video after a minute because the truth hurts their eyes. But you are different. You are ready to face the truth. And that means you have every chance to change your life. Start today, right now. Because as Nietzsche said, the smallest action is more important than the greatest intentions. Let's talk about money. No, not how to save it. How it actually works. In school, they teach you that you have to earn money honestly. But Nietzsche would have chuckled. Honesty? That was invented by those who didn't have the courage to take what was theirs. Rockefeller knew the truth. Money is not paper. It's an idea. It's trust. It's a game. Imagine 1848, the California gold rush. Thousands of people drop everything and go dig for gold. Some find it, some don't. But the real money wasn't made by the prospectors. It was made by those who sold the prospectors shovels. Those who built the roads to the gold fields. Those who opened saloons and brothels. While some were looking for gold, others were creating the system. Rockefeller repeated this trick with oil. When everyone rushed to extract black gold, he realized the real value is not in crude oil. It's in processing and transportation. He built refineries when others were drilling wells. He created a network of pipelines when others were shipping oil in barrels. By 1880, his company, Standard Oil, controlled 90% of U.S. oil refining. But here's what's really important. Rockefeller didn't just make money. He changed the rules of the game. When railroads overcharged for shipping oil, he built his own pipelines. When competitors tried to outbid him, he negotiated exclusive terms with suppliers. He didn't break the law. He understood it better than anyone. Nietzsche would have called it the will to power, not in a political sense, but as a fundamental force of nature. A tree breaks through asphalt to reach the sun. A river changes course when there's a mountain in its path. So it is with man. Either you submit to circumstances or you make them work for you. A modern example? Cryptocurrency. In 2010, Bitcoin was worth less than $1. Today, tens of thousands. But the real money was not made by those who simply bought and held. It was made by those who created exchanges, mining farms, educational courses. Those who built infrastructure around an idea. So what should you do? First, stop thinking about money as a goal. Money is a consequence of your value to the world. Second, look for shovels in the modern gold rush. What is at its peak now? Artificial intelligence? Green technologies? Space? How can you not participate in the race, but supply its participants? Third, learn to see systems. Any industry is an ecosystem. Where are the bottlenecks? Where are the imbalances? Where can you add grease and get your share? But most importantly, act. As Nietzsche said, madness is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. If you continue to go to a job you don't like, save for a deposit and hope for retirement, nothing will change. Rockefeller started his first business at 16. At 23, he already owned an oil refinery. At 40, he became the richest man in the world. He didn't wait for the right moment. He created it. You will say, but those were different times. True. Today, everything has changed, but the laws of success have not. The strong still win. Systems are still more important than individuals. And your thoughts still create your reality. The choice is yours. You can continue to play by the imposed rules, or you can create your own. As Nietzsche said, you must become who you are. The only question is, who are you? Do you know what Nietzsche, Rockefeller, and all great entrepreneurs have in common? They understood one simple thing that is never taught in schools. The real rules of the game are the exact opposite of what ordinary people are taught. Let's look at 3 major myths about success that 95% of the population still believes. Myth number 1, hard work leads to wealth. As children, we were told, study well, find a stable job, work hard, and you will be successful. But face it, the hardest working people are miners, builders, factory workers. They work 12 hours a day, but are they rich? Rockefeller said, I would rather get 1% of the efforts of 100 people than 100% of my own efforts. That's the point. The rich don't work for money. They make money work for them. The real law of success, wealth is not measured by the hours you work, but by the number of people who work for your system. Myth number 2, money is the root of all evil. This myth is hammered into our heads since childhood. But the truth is that money is just a tool. Like a hammer, you can build a house, or you can hit someone on the head. The hammer is not to blame, right? Nietzsche wrote, everything that is done out of love occurs beyond good and evil. When you create real value, be a product, a service, or art, money becomes a natural consequence. The real law of success, money is a concentration of energy and trust. The more value you create, the more energy you attract. Myth number 3, you need to wait for the right moment. How many times have you heard, now is not the best time to start a business. You need to gain experience first. Wait until the crisis is over? But here's what's interesting. Rockefeller started the oil business during the economic crisis of 1857. Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard during the oil crisis of 1975. Airbnb was born during the financial crisis of 2008. Nietzsche said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. If you were waiting for the perfect moment, congratulations, you've already lost. The real law of success, The best time to start is always now. Crises create more opportunities than stable times. How to apply this in practice? First, create assets. Don't look for a job. An asset is something that brings in money without your constant participation. This can be a business system like Rockefeller's, intellectual property, books, courses, patents, investments, real estate, stocks, cryptocurrencies. Second, play your own games. If you compete where the rules have been set by others, you're already a loser. As Nietzsche said, you must become who you are. Find your unique niche where you will set the rules. Third, turn time into an ally. Ordinary people sell their time for money. Rich people buy other people's time. Start small. Delegate what can be delegated. Automate what can be automated. Fourth, develop financial literacy. Rockefeller kept track of every penny since childhood. At the age of 13, he was already lending money at interest. Start small. Track all income and expenses. Invest at least 10% of any income. Learn constantly, but not instead of action, but in parallel with it. Fifth, create Rockefeller habits. Set aside an hour every morning for self-development. Analyze your mistakes once a week. Try something new outside your comfort zone once a month. You are now at a crossroads. One way is to continue living by the imposed rules, hoping that one day you will get lucky. The other is to accept these laws of success and start acting. Nietzsche would say, God is dead, therefore everything is permitted. But this is not about permissiveness. This is about the fact that only you are responsible for your life. Rockefeller would add, the ability to handle money is an art that can be learned. The choice is yours. But remember, every day of procrastination is a day when someone else uses these principles for you. So who are you? A spectator or a player? It's time to choose. Let's talk about the most painful thing, why 97% of people will never become truly successful. And it's not because they are lazy or stupid. The problem is in 3 deadly mistakes that almost everyone makes. The first mistake, trading time for money. You wake up at 7 in the morning, sit in traffic jams, work until evening. Now imagine what will happen if you get sick or get fired. Your earnings will stop instantly. Rockefeller called it slavery of voluntary consent. Nietzsche would say, you call this work? I call it slow suicide. The solution? You need to create assets that work while you sleep. For example, automated business, dropshipping online store, intellectual property, online course has been selling for years, investment portfolio, dividend stocks, real estate. Second mistake, fear of looking stupid. You don't launch a project because what if it doesn't work out? You don't write a book because who will read it? This is a classic poverty mentality. Rockefeller took out a huge loan for his first oil refinery at the age of 23. Everyone thought he was crazy. Nietzsche wrote, sometimes you have to lose yourself to find yourself. Solution? Start small, but start now. Do you want to write? Start a blog and publish 1 post per week. Do you dream of a business? Launch a mini project with a budget of $100. Do you want to invest? Open an account and buy $10 worth of shares. The third mistake, waiting for approval. What will my parents say? What if my friends judge me? Sound familiar? Nietzsche called it slave morality, when your decisions are determined by the opinion of the crowd. Rockefeller dropped out of school at 16 to go into business. Imagine what his neighbors said about him. The solution? Follow these 3 steps. Step 1. Make a list of people whose opinions are important to you, no more than 5 names. Step 2. Cross out everyone who has not achieved what you want to achieve. Step 3. Ask the rest. How can I become better? And ignore everyone else. How to break out of the matrix. 5 specific steps. Step 1. Audit your life, tough but honest. How many hours a day do you actually work on other people's goals? How many assets have you created in the last year? What skills have you mastered that have increased your value? Second, create an escape plan. Calculate how much you need for financial independence. Break a big goal into monthly steps. Do at least something every day for your liberation. Third, find mentors among the dead. Read biographies of the greats, Rockefeller, Ford, Carnegie. Study philosophy, Nietzsche, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius. Create a board of directors from those you respect. Step 4. Develop financial intelligence. Take your first course on investing per quarter. Analyze one Fortune 500 company per month. Test new business models, freemium, subscription, SaaS. Step 5. Create an environment of winners. Break relationships with energy vampires. Find like-minded people, business clubs, masterminds. Communicate with someone more successful than you every week. Right now, you either feel discomfort, and that's good. It means you start to wake up, or you think, interesting, but this is not about me, and then you've already made a choice. Nietzsche warned, whoever cannot obey himself will obey others. Rockefeller would add, poverty is not the absence of money, it is the absence of imagination. In a year, you will either be one step closer to freedom, or you will regret not starting today. The choice, as always, is yours. But remember, the world belongs to those who dare to take what is rightfully theirs. If you have read this far, you are already in the top 3% of those who are ready to change. Now the question is, what will you do in the next 24 hours to turn knowledge into action? Write down the first step. Right now,